We got a busy show this week here in the Georgia State Sports Update. We're going to talk softball with head coach Roger Kincaid. Rick Beasley will stop by from the Panther Athletic Club. And just back from Miramar, Florida, we're going to talk to Joe Inman from the Sun Belt Conference champion Georgia State men's golf team. That's coming up this week here in the Georgia State Sports Update. Hi again, Panther fans, and welcome into this week's Georgia State Sports Update. We got a great show today. We're going to talk right now with the head softball coach here at Georgia State, Roger Kincaid. A little while, Rick Beasley from the Panther Athletic Club will come by, and then we'll talk men's golf with Joe Inman. They won the Sun Belt Conference Championship last week down in Florida. Roger, great to have you back in studio. Feels like you were just here, and you're heading into your final weekend of the regular season. You get a trip to Statesboro, Georgia to take on in-state rival Georgia Southern before you head to the Sun Belt Conference Tournament this year over in Troy.
Right. It's a great way to end the season, I think. You know, they set it up that way where you play your rivalry in the last series. So, you know, we're excited going down to Statesboro. We've had some success down there, so we look forward to playing that three-game series. It'll be a little different for us because of the conference tournament. We'll play one game on Friday and two on Saturday, so that's a little bit of a change for us, and so we'll have to make that adjustment. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. Don't want the season to come to an end because you always hate when you get towards that end of that season. But it's an exciting time right before the tournament, and we're looking forward to it.
All right, last 10 ball games, you've been on the road. You had to go to Lafayette, Louisiana, and you and I were talking off camera. That very, very tough trip, and it's a tough trip to Louisiana Lafayette for a lot of the sports here at Georgia State when you're in the Sun Belt Conference because they're pretty good at a number of the sports. That was a bit of a tough weekend. Then came back here and took 2 of 3 from Louisiana Monroe this past weekend.
Right. It was a tough trip when we went to Louisiana. It was a little bit of a gut check for us. And, you know, we didn't play well. They did play well. They're a good team. I think we're a good team, but we just didn't do our best. And I was interested to see how the kids would respond to that because, you know, you never really know. During finals week, they got a lot of stuff going on. We don't have a midweek game. Our practices are limited as what we can do. Time is limited. And, you know, they came out against Monroe, won the first 2 games, played really well, to be frank about it, and, you know, lost a 10-inning game on Sunday, which could have went either way. It was kind of a heartbreaker for us. But I was very impressed how our team rallied from the bad weekend in Lafayette. But, you know, we got some positive stuff going on for us right now and looking to catch that momentum and finish strong.
Well, just to recap a little bit, and I'll give the scores, which you probably don't want to hear again, but I'm trying to convey the message of how good Louisiana Lafayette is, and obviously you could very well see them again in Troy at the Sun Belt Conference Tournament. But, you know, we talk about Georgia State softball. Historically, it's been a very good team with regards to pitching, but also offensively, and we'll talk about some of Georgia State's offensive players here in just a minute, but they put 19 runs up in the first game, 7 in the second, and 14 in the third. I mean, that's an incredible offensive weekend in softball for 3 games to score that many runs. That just conveys how good of an offensive team Lafayette is.
Yeah, they're very good. On Saturday, Kinsley Jennings pitched a really good game in Game 2. She gave up 5 hits in 7 innings. Right. So, you know, when you get a performance like that from your pitcher, you kind of feel good about it. Well, we gave up 7 runs and lost the ball game. So that just goes to show you offensively they're really good. And they did some things that we hadn't seen them do in the last couple of years. They played stellar defense against us. They made some plays that, you know, it seemed like every ball we hit found a glove, and they made some ESPN-looking plays. And it just, you know, we had several balls that were hit right on the nose, right to the wall, and you're thinking, okay, that ball's going out, here we go, and it's not a home run. So, you know, we just had to put it in the rearview mirror and move forward, and that's the main thing I think we focused on during finals week is making sure, you know, I always say don't let the previous game or the previous series beat you in the current one. So the kids did a really good job of flushing it and forgetting it.
Yeah, because, again, Georgia State softball came back this past weekend and took 2 of 3 from Louisiana Monroe. And again, now heading down to Georgia Southern for a 3-game weekend series to close out the regular season before heading to Troy. Again, Roger and I talked recently about some of the big bats, but I want to go over them again because this is going to be key heading not only into Statesboro, but really into the postseason. Ivy Drake, she's played in all 51 games this year, hitting .367, 7 home runs, 30 RBIs. You want to know the one stat that I took away from her stat line? She's only struck out 5 times this year.
Amazing.
That's incredible.
Amazing. And she's mad about at least 2 of them, I can tell you. But anyway, no, that's an amazing stat. They just show you the plate discipline that she has. She's willing to take a walk if that's what they're going to give her. But she sees the ball really well, and she doesn't get herself out. And you know, in this day and age, as a hitter, if you don't get yourself out, then it puts pressure on the pitcher. So yeah. Ivy does a great job of that.
And Megan Latumbe, who we talked about, she's hitting .348, 47 RBIs. Is that number 17 home runs?
That is correct.
And she and Ivy have been battling back and forth for all-time career home run leader.
Yeah, and they did that this weekend. Megan had a 2 home run game, and Ivy had a 2 home run game. So they were still battling this weekend. It's a pretty thing to watch when they go out there and do their friendly competition. But you know, it's kind of like a basketball shooter. When they're in that groove, they want to keep shooting. When you're a hitter and you're hitting the ball out of the park, you want to keep swinging the bat. So yeah. Hopefully that won't cool down anytime in the next month.
Again, we're talking Georgia State softball with head coach Roger Kincaid here in the Georgia State Sports Update. Let's talk pitching. Kinsley Jennings, 124 innings. She's been the workhorse this year, for lack of a better term. 15-10, an ERA of 3.15, 74 strikeouts, 44 walks.
Yeah, she's done a nice job for us, Dave. When she came in, we knew what she could do from recruiting her in the past.
And she transferred from USC Upstate.
She did, and didn't have a lot of data on her. We just knew her family, knew what her work ethic was, and she's come in and really worked hard for us, gotten some opportunities, and you know, as they say in life, if you take advantage of your opportunities, good things will happen for you. She's definitely done that, and I'm proud to have her because she's been a great addition to our staff.
Yeah, the second pitcher with the most innings pitched is Amanda Chance, and she's 7-6 on the year.
Yeah, and Mandy does a good job for us in several roles. Mandy's a starter for us, but Mandy can also come in relief. When we had that 10-inning game on Sunday, Kinsley pitched 5 innings, and then Mandy came in and pitched the last 5. Deserved to win the game. I mean, it went 10 innings. It went down to the last out. We had runners on base, but she pitched well enough to win, and that's what I told her after the game. I said, you know, I hate we didn't win it for you because you pitched well. You know how pitchers are, though. If you don't get the W, they don't think they pitched well. But
right.
she threw the ball well, and that's a good combination for us. And then, you know, the other 3 pitchers that we have, we mix them in, and, you know, we've got some talent in the circle.
Well, I was going to bring up, you mentioned, again, we're talking about pitching here. You got a freshman, Peyton Worsham. She's 4-2, yeah. And she's come right in and kind of solidified her spot in the rotation with regards to what you're looking for production-wise.
Yeah, and another kid who can come in and start a game for you. Another kid can come in late. She can come in middle. So there's a lot of roles that Peyton has filled for us this year. Done a nice job for us, not afraid to give her the ball. Doesn't pitch like a freshman, you know, very mature, and so we're glad to have her. And then, you know, we have Emily Souls, who's also a freshman, who's done a great job for us too. Has started games, come in relief, you know, gone long, gone short. And then, of course, we have the upperclassman, Annie Davis, that, you know, she's kind of the veteran of the group, and she kind of keeps it together for us. But we got a nice staff, and we're not scared to use any of them.
All right, well, lastly, Georgia Southern coming up, so good luck down in Statesboro. You got 3 games coming up this weekend, and then it's on to Troy for the
right.
Sun Belt Conference Tournament. So a lot of softball here, a lot of emotional softball because of the way, as you mentioned, it ends against Georgia Southern. And then you got to, you know, pack the bags and head over to Troy for the tournament.
Well, the good news is we had senior day on Sunday. It was our last home series, so that was pretty emotional for all of us, and we got that out of the way, and now we can concentrate on playing ball. And you know, these seniors are a great group. They want to finish strong. They want to win a championship. They're hungry. They want to leave a legacy, which we talk about all the time. And I just look forward to seeing how the season ends. I don't look forward to losing that senior class because they've been pretty good for me and for our program. But you know, we want to finish strong, honor them, and go out on a good note.
All right, Coach. Good luck down at Statesboro. Good luck at Troy. We'll be following, and Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you having me.
All right, I want to thank Georgia State's head softball coach Roger Kincaid joining us here. First segment of the Georgia State Sports Update. Coming up next, we're going to talk Panther Athletic Club with Rick Beasley. Another historical milestone for Georgia State football this past week. Congratulations to Georgia State wide receiver Robert Davis, Georgia State's all-time leading receiver. 222 catches, 3,391 yards, 17 touchdowns. That gets him a sixth-round draft selection in the NFL draft this past week by the Washington Redskins. And he becomes the third Georgia State player drafted in the very short history of the Georgia State football program. Of course, Christo Bilukidi, drafted by the Oakland Raiders in 2012 in the sixth round. Ulrich John by the Indianapolis Colts in 2014 in the seventh round. And add in two other Panthers that are currently in the National Football League via the free agent route. Albert Wilson with Kansas City, Will Lutz, the kicker with the New Orleans Saints. Hopefully Robert Davis will be able to join them. Again, two-time first-team All-Sun Belt Conference selection, a sixth-round pick this past week in the NFL Draft by the Washington Redskins. Joining us right now with the Georgia State Sports Update, Senior Associate Athletic Director for Development at Georgia State Athletics. That's Rick Beasley. And Rick, great to have you in studio. And you can take a little bit of a breath now because the Panther Athletic Club spring tour is over. It was a fantastic tour, 7-8 stops from all around the Atlanta area, all the way over to Savannah, Georgia. And it's a great opportunity to get the Georgia State coaches and athletics administration out and in touch with a lot of the Georgia State athletics fans.
Yeah, it's the one time a year we can actually market what Georgia State Athletics is and what the Panther Athletic Club does. We were very fortunate. Coach Elliott went to all 7 of them, and Coach Hunter and Sharon went to 6 of the 7, and we had other folks take their place in the last event at Savannah. But we saw over 1,000 Georgia State fans, got a lot of new members in terms of the Panther Athletic Club, helping us with scholarships for student athletes. So it was a great event. All of them were fun. Of course, the biggest one was at the stadium because people are excited about what's happening there.
Of course, Georgia State football will open up play August 31, Tennessee State against Georgia State in the opener. And, you know, I'm sure you field as many calls as I do about Georgia State playing football in the new Georgia State Stadium, which was, again, Turner Field. But, you know, the exciting thing about it is, and you weren't here back in 2008 and 2009, but I'm getting that deja vu feeling all over again in that in 2008, 2009, Georgia State athletically was ramping up to football in the Georgia Dome. Now we're going to be playing at Georgia State Stadium, which will be our own facility. That excitement is very similar to what we had in 2009.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And of course, you're playing FBS at the top level. Coach Elliott is really excited and is energized a lot of the fan base as well, bringing the team that's going to be really competitive in this first year. So when we open the stadium, our expectations is it's going to be a great show for everybody that comes.
All right, well, the Georgia State Panther Athletic Club, it is the group that supports Georgia State Athletics, one of the groups that supports Georgia State Athletics. Talk a little bit about the Panther Athletic Club and its role on a daily basis of supporting the student athletes of Georgia State.
Correct. It's the fundraising arm of athletics. It's what you live for every day. It's the annual fund that provides those scholarship dollars for student athletes. We love to raise $6.5 million. That's what our scholarship bill is. So then we could use those other revenues for other things that support student athletes, like academic support, nutrition, and a lot of the facilities that we're trying to improve right now.
Yeah, you know, you look around college athletics and you see, you know, it's in its own world, it's an arms race. You played college football back in the day at Appalachian State. You know, you think back to when you were a player at App State and where college athletics and college football is now. It's light years ahead of where it was when you were playing. And that's no knock on you when you played, but it's just interesting to see from a facilities-wise, and as you said, facilities-wise with regards to nutrition and academic support, where it is now, you know, and it's come such a long way in such a short amount of time, relatively.
Oh, it definitely has. You know, players today have need a lot of academic support because their schedule for athletics is so much different. They're lifting weights. They're in a lot better shape than we were in the day. No doubt about it. Nutrition plays an important role. What our athletic staff does in terms of keeping them healthy. It's just great.
All right, we took this show on the road a few weeks ago, and we taped the show at Georgia State Stadium. Charlie Cobb was our first guest on that show, if you were able to watch that show. And Rick, they're working not 24/7, but close to it to get that stadium ready for August 31. Talk a little bit about the Panther Athletic Club and the effort to sell seats and season tickets and club seats and suite seats, so on and so forth.
Well, and pretty soon we'll have a pick your seat day for folks that haven't been as involved. But what we've been doing is going down the list of the folks that have been involved from the beginning and getting them there to purchase club seats and suites. We've had a lot of success. I was out there today with 2 individuals and 1 suite holder that just bought a suite. So we've got a lot of folks that are interested in the different seating options. For the first time, we have your general seating, which is in the 100 and 200 levels, and then we have club seating and suite level seating, which is just great seating. You're up high, you're in the middle of the field, and with that 9-story video board, it's going to be quite a difference from what they're used to in the past. Plus, you're outside.
Right. Then again, if you didn't see our show a couple of weeks ago when we were at Georgia State Stadium, the football field will run parallel with what was the third baseline when it was a baseball stadium.
Correct. It's kind of just slightly off the third baseline, which gives everybody a really good seat. We've got 4 or 5 sections that all face the 50 because of the angles. And then, of course, like I said, I think the video board and everything that's going to happen around it's going to be exciting. I think the tailgating that'll go out in the parking lot. One of the other advantages of being a PAC member is that you get parking. Right. If you're a $100 member, you get festival parking. If you're 500 or above, then you get to actually get a numbered space. So you can actually park next to one of your buddies, and you can tailgate every day. And you get to use those seats when we do have concerts and other events there as well. So.
All right, well, before we let you go, tell everybody how they can get involved in the Panther Athletic Club.
Well, they can either go online at www.georgiastatesports.com or call our office at 404-413-4000 and just ask any of our staff members, Elizabeth Lee, and we've got a couple graduate students that do great jobs for us, and we'll help you find seats.
All right, Rick, appreciate it. Looking forward to August 31. You know, you were a player. It'll be here before you know it.
Oh, it'll be great. It's always fun to watch, just see the pageantry of football for sure. So.
All right, I want to thank Georgia State's Senior Associate Athletic Director for Development. That's Rick Beasley. He's been with us talking about the Panther Athletic Club. Coming up next here in the Georgia State Sports Update, just back from Miramar, Florida with the Sun Belt Conference Men's Golf Trophy. We're going to talk to Joe Inman. That comes your way next. Joined right now with the Georgia State Sports Update by the men's golf coach here at Georgia State. That's Joe Inman, just back from Miramar, Florida with the Sun Belt Conference Championship Men's Golf Trophy. You were just here a couple weeks ago. We were talking about this on the front end. On the back end, you're bringing home a championship trophy, Coach. Congratulations.
Well, I don't know what to say. I mean, I knew we had talent. I felt like we had the best team. We hadn't shown it, but I felt like we had the best team. And when we slipped into the match play, very fortunately to get into the match play, they just played beautifully in the match play. They really dominated in match play. And there's a lot to be learned from that.
Let's talk a little bit about match play, stroke play real quickly, the difference for the non-golf aficionados that are watching the show today with us.
Well, in stroke play, you add up every time you hit the ball. So if you hit the ball out of bounds, you have to take stroke and distance, come back. You make a double, a triple, a quad, whatever you make. In match play, I'm just playing you. It's just me and you. Mm-hmm. If I hit it out of bounds, then hit it in the water, all right, let's go. Let's go to the next hole. You get one. You don't make a triple, which stays with you all tournament. You lost that hole. You could have made a par and he made a birdie, and you still lose the hole. In match play, you have people shoot 3 under par and lose. You have people shoot 3 over par and win, because it's only this match right here.
Right, one-on-one.
One-on-one. And so it's a very different animal. It's more fun. It's more visceral. It's real head-to-head competition. And my guys have all got experience in match play, and I knew we were a good match play team. But we very luckily slipped into the match play.
All right, so let me jump ahead here. You defeated, to win this thing, to win the Sun Belt Conference Men's Golf Championship, you beat number 2 seeded Georgia Southern 3-2 in the finals of match play. Wouldn't you know it would come down to the in-state rival in the end for all the marbles.
And their coach, Carter Collins, is just the sweetest young man in the world. For me, it was bittersweet. I really care about Carter, and
it's Georgia Southern.
It's Georgia
never
Southern.
bittersweet.
I get it. But I I look at them as individuals. I look at them in their life. And winning, you can win on the course and not have the right attitude and not the right work ethic, and you don't win in life. I want you to win in life. You do it the right way.
Yeah.
Doing it the right way is really important to me.
So prior to that, you defeated number 1 seeded Troy, and Troy was the team that everybody knew was the team they were chasing. You beat them 4-1 in the semifinals of match play. So you took out the number 1 seed prior to beating your in-state rival.
We beat the number 1 and the number 2 seed. And Troy beat us last year in the finals when we won the medal play.
Right.
And then we lost to them when Alex three-putted the last hole. And then this year with Georgia Southern, the next to last match, but we'd already won to this match, could clinch it. He made about a 10-foot, 10, 11 feet, somewhere in there, downhill or right in the middle of the hole to win his match after Jake Story missed his. So it was very poetic justice that Alex lost the point last year and won the point this year. He was very, very ecstatic when it was over.
Again, we're talking to Georgia State men's golf coach Joe Inmans, Georgia State men's golf Sun Belt Conference golf champions this year. Let's talk about a few of the other guys that helped contribute to this championship. One of his best seasons here, Nathan Maloney.
He was just crying so hard when we finished. He was so emotional. And he picked me up. I mean, he's 6'3". Holy mackerel. He picked me up. I said, Nathan, put me down, put me down, put me down. And I said to him, think about where you've come in your 4 years here. Not recruited, not signed, not offered by any Division I school in state. And we made a spot to bring him in. We didn't have a spot, but they let me go one higher, and I brought him in. And he has worked harder than any player I've had in this my 9th year in 9 years. He has gotten better every year. This boy graduates with a 3.9, almost a 4.0 in finance from the Honors College. You just couldn't ask for something better from a person than what Nathan has had happen to him at Georgia State here in his 4 years.
Isn't it incredible, though, as you sit here and say that, how close? I mean, that pendulum could have swung either way if you didn't make the spot to bring him in.
And he knew, I mean.
But you know what I'm saying? You look back at what he's contributed to your program in the last 4 years, and you think to yourself, man, if I had made the other decision or the decision had gone the other way, what would we have missed out on?
And that's why he picked me up and was squeezing.
Right.
Because I didn't have anybody leaving. So I was set at my limit, my Title IX limit, and I asked them to be able, since this boy was still available, could I go one more? And they said yes. We brought him in on a small scholarship, but he was in Honors College, so he has the Zell Miller, so he has the full tuition. He got money from Honors College both semesters. So he has he's just blossomed. And he knew that I'd gone to bat for him.
Yeah.
And he was just so emotional about it. And for his mama, his daddy, who are just, great friends, his mom's a teacher, for the whole family, it has been a great experience for them, for us, and it's what can go right when you make the right decision.
All right, real quick, 2 other players, Nick Budd and Max Herman, Alex's brother.
Yeah. Nick has just grown. He's only a sophomore, but here again, we've changed his grip. We've worked on a lot of things. He's gotten so much better than when he came here, and he has 2 more years. Max is every bit as good as his brother. He's just has smoke coming out of his ears. Sometimes those gears are turning so hard in there. I mean, he overheats. And
that's where you come in.
Well, that's my job. We've been talking about it. We can't. We're getting ready to go to region. We cannot get out of region without Max.
Yeah.
And we know that. I mean, we need all of them, but we especially need Max. So these 2 weeks now that we're preparing for region is to get Max comfortable and get him thinking about the right things and get him, again, believing in himself. If we do that, we have a great chance at region.
All right, again, 4th consecutive year men's golf here at Georgia State has advanced to an NCAA regional. Of course, you don't know yet as we tape this show where you're going to be. But as you were telling me off camera, how they go about deciding who is seated where and at what courses?
Well, they
what regional?
Yeah, what regional? There's 6 regions, and the coaches, all the coaches, are so scared about it. They go right down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, just like this. And it doesn't matter. They don't want any region stacked. They want it to be as fair as possible. So we could literally go anywhere. They do not care the expense.
Yeah.
And the reason is because we're their worst nightmare. They know that. We're not a big name school, but we have talent, and those major coaches know it. We've seen them all year long.
A group of 5 that can play,
A group of 5 that can play.
for
And
lack of a better term.
if they are comfortable, if they get their mind in the right place, we can get right through that region. Yeah. And so we'll be a 10 or 11 seed, and yet you got to finish in the top 5. So we've got to beat at least 5 teams that are seated ahead of us to get through region, which is a very tall order. But we can do it. I tell them all the time, we're not going there for moral victories. We're not going there to get our head caved in.
Right.
Okay? We're going there to whip you know what and take names. We're there to play. So we are going to be ready. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, a lot of times people look at conferences and they only see it what's above the surface. And when I say above the surface, I'm talking like major college football, major college basketball. You don't really see what's below the surface with how good a lot of the other sports are at teams and schools across the country in some of the sports that are not on national television every single night. And that's why you were saying there's a lot of coaches at major programs that are scared. I mean, putting that in quotations here, of a mid-major or a group
Right.
of 5 program that can play.
At the final 30 teams, the average is about 3 or 4 schools that aren't in the Power 65.
Right.
And last year there were 4, but one of them was Houston. It's hard to call, 16 national championships.
Right.
It's hard to call them, but they're not in the Power 65. San Diego State,
Right.
they kind of ought to be there. South Florida, I mean, those were 3 of the teams. The only really what I would call mid-major team was UAB. So, it's tough for a mid-major school to get through Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Texas, Southern Cal, Florida State, Alabama, you name all the big schools. The SEC will have between 6 and 10 in the finals.
Yeah.
That's how strong that conference is. The Pac-12 will have between 4 and 6.
Yeah.
And ACC will have them. So it's hard to get one of those spots.
Again, kind of similar as we wrap it up to what you see come NCAA basketball
Right.
tournament time.
Exactly.
Same thing. Well, Coach, congratulations on the Sun Belt Conference
Thank you.
Championship. Best of luck in the NCAA regionals, wherever we're sent, and we'll be watching.
Thank you so much, David.
All right, I want to thank Joe Inman joining us here on the Georgia State Sports Update. We'll be following men's golf as they head to the NCAA regionals here in 2017. Time now as we get ready to close the show, take a look at a very brief what's on the schedule this week in Georgia State athletics. And we have one event that's coming up on Wednesday, May the 10th, Georgia State baseball back at the ballpark at Panthersville against Savannah State. First pitch at 5 p.m. I want to thank all of our guests today. Roger Kincaid, softball coach, also Rick Beasley from the Panther Athletic Club, and Coach Inman. And I'm Dave Cohen for the entire crew. Thanks for watching. We'll see you here next week on the Georgia State Sports Update.